Hello, and welcome to JV's Motivational Mondays. I thought today was the perfect day outside, so I thought I'd take some time to film this out here, and the background's great. It certainly doesn't hurt. So I wanted to talk about a few things with you this week. Last week we had a phenomenal win with the new heritage interpreting contracts. So huge congrats and applause to Kume and Carly and Rosanna and the sales team for all of the work that it took to really obtain that contract and just making waves. So big things to come, and hats off to them for that, because that's a big win for us. We're going to see more revenue and expansion for Florida and growth and the Ocala area in general. So I'm excited about that one for sure. Hats off. So, interpreting is still moving along. I thought that last week would slow down because school's out, but, really, just because school's out, we're still seeing that all of the other work is still there. We're busy. We're moving along. So that's great. That's a huge plus for us. We are nearing towards the Hands Up conference, and I think we have about 4, maybe 3 weeks left. So that is very exciting. It's going to be great to see Bill and his team just shine from all the work that they put into making this conference underway over the last year. So looking forward to that. Interpreting, is going great. And I was talking with some folks recently just about the interpreting profession and in general. And, one common theme that kept coming up for us when we were talking about that, I wanted to bring to you today. Interpreting is tough. It's a challenge for sure. But at the same time, it's one of the greatest things that we can do. And one thing that really came up for me and stuck with me was that interpreters are the gateway to access. And without access, a person is just deprived and they're lost because of that. And so when interpreters come in, we are that foundation and that bridge for them to be able to have those interactions. And with that being said, I think sometimes we do our best to leave our background and our belief systems and just everything that makes us complex human beings, and we try to leave that aside. And then when these things come up during the interpreted scenario, it's kind of jarring for us. We almost feel like it's a conflict. And, people say all the time in this profession, stay neutral, leave all of that out of it. But I want to tell you guys that it's okay to acknowledge that you are a complex human being with a million different things leading up to who you are, and that's okay. Don't ever feel bad or guilty that you have, this just complex configuration of who you are as an individual and a human being, because that is to be cherished. And sometimes that comes up, sometimes, it's not always going to be a perfect fit when you're interpreting, but we have to acknowledge that you have that with you when you walk into the scenario. And sometimes these things come up and they're a conflict, and you do your best during the scenario. And afterwards, it's important to acknowledge that, hey, my humanity showed for a minute there. My upbringing, everything leading up to who I am, played a part, and I do my best to interpret. And that's phenomenal. That's a job well done. So with that being said, I think that sometimes we are hard on ourselves and we give ourselves too much in those moments, but it's really important because we want to leave the emotions out, but sometimes it's impossible. I remember one time when I was interpreting for one particular job in the courtroom, and it was for a sentencing hearing, and the sentence that was rendered on the defendant was pretty rough. And I remember interpreting for that individual who, they took their punishment and they shed a tear in that moment when they heard what their sentence was going to be. And I had thought, oh, I'll be fine. I can stay neutral. But we have to remember, I had been interpreting for this gentleman for every proceeding leading up to that point. And to see him shed a tear, while I was interpreting, the same thing happened for me. I shed a tear as well. And in the moment I was like, come on, JV, do better, stay neutral. And then I kind of realized to myself, like, hey, that was human of me to have that interaction and feel that empathy for this person. And, to really want to support them as their interpreter. They have to acknowledge their wrongdoings, but at the same time, they take their lumps, and I have to recognize that I'm a human being. So with that being said, I think sometimes we need to give ourselves a little bit more grace, certainly. And that is my Motivational Monday for you.